The purpose is to teach people not to discriminate to not say, oh, you must not really be blind. It's the biggest question you'll see on Reddit or anywhere. Am I blind enough yet to use a cane? When you go use a cane and then somebody says, but I saw you see that. You looked at your watch, you saw me, you're not really blind. Why are you using that cane? And people hear this enough times, so then they stop using the cane and then they fall down and get hurt. People from this story will understand the emotional support they need to be able to come out and tell the world that really they can't see, but also for them to have the information they need, that even totally blind people get that response, that it's not related to their blindness, but it's related to their function. If they're functional, they must not be blind enough yet, according to some people, but not everybody believes that. But a mental health provider would be sitting there trying to figure out, should I use the cane, should I not use the cane? They wouldn't have a clue. They would think that there's some medical number or somebody that's going to tell them when to use it. When the truth is, you use it when you need it, which is when you're struggling to stay safe. Back in 2003, we were all sitting around the table waiting our turn to go out, and I was really concerned about whether or not I was blind enough to go home with the dog, because it seemed like I could see too much. So the lady to the left of me said, yeah, well, I see more than you, and I'm thinking the same thing. So Dorothy said, well, people say that to me too. And so Dean, he was across the way, and he says, yeah, well, I got that last week, and he explained his story, and we were all amazed because we'd heard that he was total. And he says, here's what I do to him. And next thing I heard was glass balls rolling around on the table. He had plucked out his glass eyes and put them on the table, and he said, this is what I do to people who tell me I'm not blind enough. So then we all sat and looked at each other and sat there trying to figure out when would we be blind enough? I mean, I just popped out and said, well, shoot, if you're not blind enough, I'm never going to be blind enough. What is up with this? And so we all sat there trying to figure out what people needed to know that we really were blind. And especially those of us that had some sight. And so we finally, it was Dean, he popped up and said, well, I guess we'd have to be Magoo. In other words, our canes would be up in the air, cartoon character who was completely not functional and angry all the time. And so there was this real revelation that the more functional we got, the more training we got, the better we were with using our canes and our dog, and the happier we were, then made some people believe that we were fakes and that we weren't really blind. I learned to stop caring about what they thought and to go forward with the idea that if I couldn't make some people happy, that I just had to decide what did I need and what would make it work. And it was hard because I had lost a job. I wasn't using the cane at work, but somebody saw me using the cane in a school because I knew that I would stumble over little kids, and I didn't want to step on a little kid. I was at my kid's school doing a parent thing, and so I pulled my cane out just for that specific purpose. It didn't change the fact I could still read, I could still see perfect color, I could still walk around on a flat ground in a non-crowded place without using my cane safely. But nevertheless, because my supervisor saw that cane, she very creatively got me booted right out of that job. And it wasn't done directly. And so it has a tremendous impact. But the most important part for mental health therapists is to understand that this is real. This is prejudice. It's discrimination. The client still needs to make that decision that it's important enough for them not to get run over, bump into people, and get yelled at because they don't know why they're bumping into them. All the things that a cane does for you, which is protect you from falling, gives you right away in traffic. It gives you the ability to move through crowded places because people will say, oh, you're blind. Okay, let me get out of your way. People are kinder for the most part. But it's a very difficult transition, and it's important for mental health providers and family to know that there's no magic number when it becomes necessary to use a white cane or a guide dog. It's when the person feels that tension or has an incident, or in my case, when I started using my cane when I came home, I noticed that I didn't have bruises on my shins anymore.